now that the midterms are over, we're starting to see more and more speculation about who will and won't run in the Democratic Party's 2020 presidential primary. And at the rate we're going, there's going to be about 35 candidates. I mean, there's so many people. According to the Columbus Dispatch, Sherrod Brown is thinking about running, and on The View, Kirsten Gillibrand also said that she was thinking about running when asked about a potential run by Joy Behar. And we're also seeing speculation about whether or not Elizabeth Warren will run, Bernie Sanders, obviously, even Jeff Merkley from the state of Oregon, and whether or not he's going to run. But there's also another individual who's thinking about running. In fact, they're definitely going to run, according to their former aides. Why don't you take a guess? Take a wild guess as to who that could possibly be. Well, of course, it's Hillary Rodham Clinton. Because why not?
Makes sense.
And in an opinion piece for the Wall Street Journal, Mark Penn and Andrew Stein don't just explicitly say that she's definitely going to be running again, but they also say that she's going to be rebranding herself as a liberal firebrand and will, quote, easily capture the 2020 nomination. They're not just saying that she's thinking about running, they're saying, yeah, she's definitely going to run. And the reason why this actually has some credibility is because Mark Penn is a former aide of the Clintons. Now, they do contend that she's not necessarily planning to announce right away, saying, quote, she may even skip Iowa and enter the race later, but rest assured that one way or another, Hillary 4.0 is on the way. So they're very confident that she's going to run, and even though this conflicts with what other aides to the Clintons have said, that she won't be running, they're saying, no, she's going to run, and we actually have some insight into how she's going to run. She's going to try to rebrand herself as a firebrand liberal. Well, I mean, we have all of the tapes from just a couple of years ago where she said, some people accuse me of being a moderate. I plead guilty. So it doesn't matter that you rebrand yourself as a firebrand liberal. The internet exists. And this is what politicians nowadays don't get. We have the internet. We can go back to just a couple of years ago and see you attacking Bernie Sanders for supporting Medicare for all. We have the tape of you saying Medicare for all will never ever come to pass. Now, I don't necessarily know whether or not she will run at this point. I don't want to say it's a foregone conclusion. But if you go back to what Hillary Clinton said just a couple of weeks ago, she did make it clear that she does want to be president still.
Do you want to run again?
No.
Wait.
No.
That was a pause.
Well, I'd like to be president.
Okay.
Look, I think, hopefully, when we have a Democrat in the Oval Office in January of 2021, there's going to be so much work to be done. I mean, we have confused everybody in the world, including ourselves. And we have confused our friends and our enemies.
Right.
They have no idea what the United States stands for, what we're likely to do, what we think is important. So the work would be work that I feel very well prepared for, having been in the Senate for 8 years, having been a diplomat in the State Department. And it's just going to be a lot of heavy lifting.
So are you going to be doing any of that lifting? Do you feel like...
Oh, I have no idea, Kara, but I'm going to, I'm not going to even think about it until we get through this November 6th election about what's going to happen.
So, I mean, what she said there, in addition to the articles that we're seeing from aides saying, yeah, she's going to run. I mean, these are the people who are closest to her. Is it a foregone conclusion that Hillary Clinton will run again in 2020? I wouldn't necessarily say that, but do we have enough reason to deduce that a Hillary 2020 run is at least within the realm of possibility? Unfortunately, yes. Now, the last time we talked about this, I told you why she shouldn't obviously run. One, because she already lost to Donald Trump, and I don't think that she'd win if she were to run again. And two, because her favorability ratings are still abysmal. But let's think practically about the prospect of her presence in a Democratic Party primary and what that would mean for progressives. So on one hand, if she runs, I think that would maybe inadvertently benefit progressives because she'd probably split the vote with other corporate Democrats like Joe Biden. But at the same time, in the event she were to run, even if that might benefit us going into the primary, that's still going to bring down the collective image of the Democratic Party. And no matter who wins, be it Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren, that association of Hillary Clinton and Democratic Party is going to hurt the eventual Democratic Party nominee, even if it's someone like Bernie Sanders. But it would mostly be harmful to the country. Imagine if Hillary Clinton were to run and actually secure the nomination. I mean, we would fight like hell to stop that, right? But imagine if she were to run. Well, we already know what would happen. Going up against Donald Trump, she would lose. And let me just say this, an incumbent president is always going to have that incumbency advantage. Whenever voters see that the economy is doing well, they typically reward the incumbent president for the economy doing well. Now, you and I both know that the economy isn't doing so well for ordinary Americans. Wages are still low, even if the stock market is doing well. But I mean, if they have the choice between maintaining the status quo in terms of keeping things the same, well, voters are typically risk averse, and they're most likely going to do what they've done historically and opt for no change as opposed to change that could be scary and be unfamiliar to them. So if Hillary Clinton were to go up against Donald Trump, would she run a better campaign this time? I mean, I'm sure she'd go to Wisconsin, but if you're curious about what a hypothetical Hillary Clinton-Donald Trump matchup would look like in 2020, just go back to what it looked like in 2016. She lost. So this would be a disaster for the country, and we all have a vested interest in defeating Donald Trump. If Donald Trump wins a second term and gets 4 more years as president, how many more Supreme Court seats is he going to be able to fill? How many more? At a minimum, it has to be 1. Could be 2. Could you imagine the amount of irreparable damage that would do to the country if Donald Trump got 1 or possibly 2 more Supreme Court seats? I couldn't, which is why if she's really going to run again, and I hope she doesn't, we have to do everything in our power to defeat her, because she is a sure bet. If there's anyone that's been tested, it's been Hillary Clinton. She can't beat Trump. She's proven that.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.